This is Dev Pirates Radio, a podcast about getting. Wow.
Not so easy, is it?
Well, it helps if you write it right. All right. So, this is Dev Pirates Radio, a podcast about tackling various development challenges to help us push our limits. Every 2 weeks, we get together and discuss solutions to the current challenge. We encourage anyone who is interested in playing around in programming, game development, writing, and other development challenges to join in the fun. Each challenge should be accomplishable in about 1 to 6 hours of work. A new challenge will be presented at the end of every episode. Anyone can spend as much time on each challenge as they want. Many of the solutions will be discussed. We'll even talk about solutions to previous challenges if you wanted to do one of the earlier challenges and submit that. Just email us at contact@devpirates.com with the challenge, name of the subject, and with the challenge in the name of the subject line. Okay, that didn't make any sense. With the challenge name in the subject line. Man, can't read.
That's all right. We'll edit it for the podcast.
Maybe.
You got this. You got this. Hi, I'm Pete.
Right. And I am Matt. We should probably put that in the intro too. So what we do, I guess I should explain it a little bit better, and then maybe we'll get this in. What we do is we come up with some challenges, and then we try and complete the challenges, and then we talk about our solutions to them. And if anyone wants to join in, we'll talk about those solutions as well.
Awesome. All right. Matt, why don't you go ahead and reintroduce the last time's problem?
All right. So the challenge presented last time was a database challenge for an SQL database. I'll just read the challenge off. This challenge will require at least one kind of database. For the purpose of this challenge, any kind of SQL database into any kind of application will do. It is meant to mainly test entering data into a database and then retrieving that data. So the challenge has 3 things. Design DB tables in the SQL database of your choice. The program will parse plain text receipts that I provided and load the data into the database. And then the application will query the database records that display name, ship to, city, and state, number of records, piece total, subtotal, shipping, tax, and total for all orders per person. There's only 2 people. There's like maybe 5 or 6 receipts. And then the display should have column names of buyer, city, orders, item, subtotal, shipping, tax, and total. Information should match the headers in a legible way, meaning like they appear under each other. And then that's it for the rules.
Cool.
So I think a database, I don't ever want to handle data any other way. Before I got into databases like many moons ago, I would do like flat files or CSVs, comma separated files, stuff like that. And that was all right. But it took me a while to get used to databases, but once I got into them, I can't imagine handling data any other way.
I have hardly had any experience with databases, but after playing around with this a little bit, I can see where the appeal comes from. While building one and designing one is as complicated as you need it to be, which in some cases would be very complicated. Once that is in place, the rest of it is so simple to manage.
Yeah, there's a bit that goes into design, and this one shouldn't have too much design problems with it. There's you could probably, I did it in 2 tables. I think anyone can do it in 2 tables. 3 tables would probably be reasonable if you're going to turn it into something real.
Mm-hmm.
But it shouldn't take too much design. So I have your code solutions, and I have my solution. So research done. We can talk about that.
Sure. Did you have to do any research?
I did not have to, but I did. What I wanted to do was because I wanted to get into Unreal Engine development, and so I wanted to do a MySQL database inside of Unreal, thinking that by now someone had already had an elegant solution for it. And I
But
was sadly disappointed.
hmm,
There were some solutions, and I can do it myself, but the problem with it is Unreal Engine is cross-platform compatible. Now, my SQLite is cross-platform compatible, but you have to load the correct DLL. So it would have taken me a lot longer to create an elegant solution that would be cross-platform the way I would want to present it. I mean, I could have gotten something working, but that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to get something working that could work for an actual project. So after many hours of research, I decided to skip that and just do one side of a MySQL and a PHP.
so will yours work? Like if you put it out on a server on the internet, it would just work as long as there was a MySQL implementation on that server? Matt?
Sorry, you seem to have gotten cut off.
Oh, I was
So
saying,
will mine work if, and then it cut off?
will yours work if you put it out on a server and the server already has MySQL installed?
I did not put in creating the tables inside of my solution.
Okay, so you have to create the tables outside of using your code in order, let's say somebody wanted to copy it and try it.
Yeah, you'd have to have the tables already in the database. You also have to set up your own user and stuff. I did not put my database user and password in my supplied example of my solution. I did not put the username and password that I used, even though I did everything on my local database, so it wouldn't even really matter if they did get that. I don't like. I just put in like a default values like a DB name here, password as the password. No one should have password as the password.
No one should have password as password. That's, yeah.
But the script I have loaded up here does not have, I mean, has the actual values. Let me just go ahead and fix that because I don't want to share the one with the doing all that. All right, so I guess did you do any research?
I did. I had to do a bit of research to figure out the specifics of how database implementations work in Perl. I had already read a book specifically geared towards it and chapters in other books geared towards Perl databases. But I had to look up the specific ways to handle opening a database handle and executing commands in SQL.
Yeah, I mean that's good research, especially if you have not used to doing database stuff.
Right, and in every language, it's going to be different how you actually open up a database and interact with it.
Yeah, but the beauty about databases, though, even like there will be some differences between databases based on the SQL. I mean, it's called a structured query language, so you would expect it to be structured in all of them. And
Right.
for the most part, for a lot of the queries, it's gonna look the same. The query is gonna look the same no matter which code you use, no matter which database you use, if it's an SQL database.
Yeah.
So the queries are going to be pretty much the same in all of them.
Mostly. There are a few commands that are unique to different SQL databases.
Yeah, but for the most part, everything's going to be a lot the same, and it'll be super easy to find alternate solutions to that, to whichever ones that are a little bit different.
Right, right. And all of the basic stuff should work across any database.
If you're just going to do like a basic select where
Yeah.
ID equals whatever, it's not going to look any different no matter which DB you use. What DB did you use?
I ended up using MySQL
I like MySQL.
or MySQL. I don't know. I
I
don't like
don't. I don't like
SQL.
saying SQL because old timey. There's a SQL. There's an actual SQL language. I don't like calling another language SQL.
Is it dead though?
It's probably dead.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
All right.
All right. Let me share up my screen.
Yes, please. Let me lock it on you too.
All right. So this is my solution.
Okay.
You'll notice the database. This is my user, my password, and the database.
Everyone, you can take that to the bank.
Yep. Just log in localhost, and then you'll have access to my database.
The IP address for that is 127.0.0.1.
That is correct. So I have one function in here. Everything is self-contained inside of this. You can run, aside from setting up the database, everything is runnable inside of this. So I have an open file function, and that just opens whichever file. Then I created an order record, kind of. That's everything that's going to be inside of an order. And I created an item record, kind of. And then during the testing, I just wanted to keep things clean, so I always deleted from each table.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I could just rerun it. And then I just did this glob command to find all text files in a certain directory, basically where the script is running from. So I just unzipped the files into the running directory for the PHP, and then I just looked for. Sorry, what?
What does the glob function do?
It finds files. This glob function like this will find every txt file in whatever directory it's set to look for it in the current directory that the script is running from.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But you can choose it to look for files in a different directory, and it'll just give you each one with their file location.
Okay. Oh, so you could do it recursively, I take it then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I just grab, so for each txt file, I grab it, and then I did it's kind of a hacky parsing. So I have sections. The first section is the first bit, which is, I can pretty much ignore it until I get to order line, to the order ID, and then I store that as the order ID. And then I go to the next line, and then I wait for the next one for the top of the order. And I grab each of the order things. I take the line, I split it by the colon, because if we look at the examples, everything is pretty. I tried to make it so it wasn't So I just go through and I grab each one of these and set them. And then I grab each of the items and then I set them to the item records. And then I finish the order off by grabbing each one of these and putting them into the order.
Okay.
So once I have all of that in, I will then run once I've parsed the entire receipt, then I will do the insert for the temp orders, and it's a pretty basic insert. I said insert into, and then I listed all the things that I'm going to be inserting on, and then the values that I will insert for. And then I did for each of the items, an insert for each of the items. So it's pretty basic stuff as far as the PHP goes, and then the queries, they're just inserts. For the HTML, I just did inside the thing. I just echoed out an HTML document.
So when you run it, it'll actually show a web page.
Yeah. And so for the SQL, I will select, and then I use, I always use these. So I'll do from orders as O, items as I, because they make things a lot faster and easier.
Yeah. I believe, what are those called? Labels? It's a special way of just shortening how you access things.
Yeah, I'm not too good on terms for things.
It's like a pseudonym for your table.
Yeah. Basically, I renamed so I don't have to type out TMP orders every time at the start of the column.
Right.
I just type out O.
But that doesn't persist between SQL queries.
It does not.
Only happens during this one.
Yeah. And so I grab each of the fields. I concatenated city and state together because that was one of the things. I counted the orders IDs, but only the distinct ones. So I get just the amount of orders. And I count all the items as items. Then I sum the subtotal, sum the shipping, and sum the tax, and sum the total. And then there's a from clause. And then the group by clause is just by name, city, and state. And then order by name. So that's where I get all the records. And then for each of the records, I just pump them out into the table.
Okay.
And yeah, I use the table. So there. And that.
So you use an HTML table.
Yep. So that goes here. And bam, it runs. And so it deleted and then parsed and then inserted, and then this is the result.
Nice.
Could be formatted nicer, but everything's under the columns. So now we can talk about your solution.
All right. Well, you've got my solution up there. So I have it so that you can just pump new receipts into a directory. So I open up a directory handle in Perl. That's the first thing I do. That part that says my $directory. And then once that's open, I leave that alone for a bit. I connect to the database. You can see how my username and password are just the same as yours. It's crazy, right?
Why don't you do a create or drop directive?
What do you mean?
Well, if the table's already created, what do you do?
Oh, you'll see this specific implementation actually drops the tables at the end.
Oh, so you do everything, drop the tables, and then you can just start over fresh.
Yeah.
It's a little weird.
Well, I ended up doing a bit of testing, and instead of manually doing it, I was just like, all right, we'll just drop it every time and see one of these times we'll get it right. Okay. So the next thing I do is I create the tables with the columns. The same for the second table. So I have one table that's just orders, another table for items.
Yeah, two tables should be all you need for this challenge.
Yeah, and then I read through the directory, and grep out all of the names of the receipt files.
Your audio is dying.
Uh-oh. Is this okay?
Yeah, now it is, I think.
All right, let me see if I can adjust my bandwidth here. There we go. Oh, I still need to see. There we go. Okay. So I read through all of those, toss the receipt file names into the array for @receipts, and create a bunch of variables, yada, yada. Okay, now that while receipt will actually open up whatever is in, I set as receipt, read through it. Each line I do a bunch of if statements. If
Right.
it's one, it sets it to whatever respective field it needs to go to.
We don't need to talk about this since this is mostly about database challenge.
Yeah, yada, yada.
If they want to see the parsing, they can look it up online.
Sure. Then I close that. What's the print orders? Okay, print orders.
Oh, so for each, you do inserts. That's a database thing.
Yeah, there we go. All right. So after I get to total is when it'll actually run this last part where you actually insert the database. So total is the end of every receipt. So that's the only time it will actually finish the entire for loop. It's not pretty programming. There's better ways to do it. I was in a hurry. So if you'll look, each of the ifs and elses have next, except for the one that has the line for total. And it's not pretty. It's not good. Don't do that. Okay. Right, Matt? You agree?
Right. Yeah,
okay.
It's all right. Challenge was mostly about database, not the parsing.
Yeah. To be honest, I could just put all that in the total else if statement. It was weird how I did it. Just deal with it. And then, so I tossed it all into there using that insert statement. All of those things have to be put in order. If you're new to databases, that will be important information to you. So I create the string that is going to be used as the SQL statement. And the do command is actually nice because it both prepares and executes an SQL statement in Perl. A lot of languages you'll have to prepare before you execute. I don't know if you had to do that in PHP.
No.
Okay.
Don't have to do that in most of the language I work in.
That's good. But if you wanted to, you could just prepare SQL statement and then execute too if you wanted to keep them separate. I don't know why you would. Okay. And then this print orders function, what happens is it runs through and selects all of the distinct order IDs from both tables. Oh no, just from orders, because why do items as well? And then here's where I actually prepare and then execute a query. And okay, and then it prints out, hey, you want here's the order IDs you have. Type in whichever one you want to check. You put in the number. It queries for that number using this select all or star from orders where order ID is the same as the order ID variable that you get from standard in.
No, I do not like select stars.
Really?
No, I do not.
But it doesn't hurt to grab the whole table.
Well, select stars are fine when you're just querying a table, but inside of an application, I think you need to tell it which fields you're querying on.
Okay. I actually used all of the.
I know even if you use all of them, I just think it's good practice to list all of the ones that you're querying on. Just as a personal preference.
I can see an argument for that.
Also, there are some, like at work, our database implementation, if you query select star and one of the fields someone adds a field to that table, it could screw some things up.
Okay. This is good
because you're selecting star and you're grabbing all the fields, but then you're getting an extra field that the interpreter is not expecting, and then it goes, I don't know what to do with this extra field.
All right. Interesting. Well,
but then also for optimization purposes, since we deal with a lot of data, select stars are not as optimized. Even if you select each row record, each column, each field in the table, it's not as optimized. It's more optimized that way than the select star.
Okay.
Because select star, what it has to do is it has to go, oh, okay, you want to look at all the fields. Well, what are all the fields? So it goes and looks up all the fields, and then it fills those out and then grabs all those fields.
So the select all actually queries what is the master table that all the other tables keep all their information on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then that returns the query that will actually replace the star in the actual query.
Yep.
Okay. Interesting.
But also, it's also nice. I think it's nice to see all the fields that you're expecting to get from the database inside of the code, so you can easily check.
Sure.
Anyway, that's enough nitpicking. It's not a big deal. I was just saying, I don't really like seeing select stars inside the code.
And then this next part, it just prepares and executes. In Perl, you use the file handle, and then you use the function fetch row array on the query handle, which is the $ orders right there. And then set that to an array, and then print out all the elements by whatever. And I actually did show in, I sent you another Google Drive link to the output of that, I think. If I didn't, it's in your Google chat right now. Okay. So that right there is the part where it asks you, and then underneath is what it prints out when you actually look for an order. Are you freezing up there, Matt, or is that me? You might have lost your sound. I don't see your volume bars moving. We are experiencing technical difficulties. Do 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 bong bong. It's the eye of the tiger, it's the thrill of the fight. The challenge of our rivals, and the last known survivor. Do 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 do. I'd like to take this time to talk about our sponsor, Uber Pants. They're the pants that are Uber. Uber Pants. This episode brought to you by Gold. Gold. It's in the ground. This podcast also brought to you by video games. Because who needs a wife anyway? Hi, Matt. Still can't hear you. And I don't see volume bars moving either. I saw that. I saw you try to mute yourself. Hey, whoa, there we go. Oh, lost you.
All right, how about now?
Hey, there you are.
I don't understand it. All right, well, that wasted a bunch of time.
Sorry about that. Well, let's carry on.
Where were you?
We were talking about the output of my program. Can you pull that up real quick in screen share? Or I guess I can, actually.
Okay, I got it.
There we go. Okay. Here, let me lock it on you. So, wow. Getting some tunnel vision there. Okay. So it shows you what your possible order IDs are. You put in whichever number you want, and then it prints out the order. And there you go.
But it didn't follow the column headers that I put in the challenge.
Did you say that those were column headers?
Yep. If we look at the challenge.
Column names.
Yeah, I wanted the query
Should
to display name, shipped to city and state, number of orders, piece total, subtotal, shipping tax, and the total for all orders per person.
should have the names of buyer, city, orders, items, subtotal, shipping, tax, and total.
I guess I should have specified, but the per person thing meant you would have one record per person and it would show all of their totals.
Okay, that would just require me changing the query a little bit. I could actually tweak that and maybe put that up as my fixed program. but yeah, all of the logic and everything is there. It's not going to be much work to do that.
Yeah, the only reason why I put that was because I wanted to do a slightly more complicated query than just selecting all from an item.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted a query like this,
Mm-hmm.
where you're using a few more, slightly more advanced querying things for SQL.
I can see that. Yeah, there's a few things that I wasn't using at all, like count and
some
inner joins.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, maybe I'll play around with that. Maybe I won't. But yeah.
It's not a big deal.
Apparently I failed.
That's it. I'm writing you off.
Oh, you're gonna do the podcast by yourself now?
Yeah. Aside from the parsing, which we don't really need to get into, I didn't really do anything hacky.
I don't think I really hacked anything either.
Aside from the parsing.
What do you mean? The parsing wasn't okay. That one part where everything had a next in it wasn't pretty. I'll give you that. Yeah.
All right. So what is our next challenge? And where's my stop sharing option?
All right. Our next challenge. I'm just pulling that up really quick. Okay. So our next challenge is actually going to be the start of actually doing something with our game design document that we did last time.
So yeah, because we're going to alternate. Every other challenge is going to be a game development challenge based off of those design documents.
Yeah, yeah. And by the time we're done with these challenges, you should at least have a working prototype of your game.
I don't know if we need to do a challenge for each thing specifically, but for each type of thing would be good. Like we don't need to do a challenge for do enemy 1, do enemy 2. If we just do a challenge for do enemy.
Yeah.
As an example.
Yeah. Well, keep your enemies close. But
and do them.
And do them. No. So yeah, I think that's a good idea. Just do all of the important pieces, but not necessarily the entire section of each thing.
Well, I mean, you should do them on your own, but for the challenges, we're not going to do a challenge for every single thing inside of the design document.
Right. We're just going to yeah.
Like there'll be a challenge for do a menu. It's not going to be for every menu in your game if your game has a lot of menus.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
But if you do one menu, you should be able to use that and build the rest of the menus that you might need.
Yeah, you can use that one you've already completed as a good starting point for the rest of them.
Yeah.
And that's the way we'll kind of go about this. You won't be able to finish all of these challenges and be like, hey, I've got a game. I can sell it on the Play Store. Please don't. But you can have something that you can either decide, hey, this might actually be good enough to finish.
I don't know. I think it's possible for if your game design is simple enough as it should be for your very first game, you might have something good enough to put on the Play Store or even to Steam. What is that Steam thing?
Greenlight?
Yeah, Steam Greenlight. You might.
Okay, and I'm not trying to discourage people from putting stuff.
That shouldn't be the goal. The goal should just be learning how to do game development.
Right, and we'll leave it up to your discretion whether or not you publish your crappy or excellent game.
Just a small in scope game. Doesn't have to be crappy. Doesn't have to be excellent. Just a small in scope game, and then see how that goes.
Sure. And if it's fun, and if you think people would be interested in it, go ahead and post it. I think we've wasted too much time on being sensitive to this.
Right. And just build to a prototype. The very first thing, build to a prototype, and then decide if you want to continue on from there, or if you want to scrap it and move on to something else.
Right. All right. So this next challenge that we're going to do is we're going to take the default character for your type of game, whatever that is, side scroller, RPG, doesn't matter. I want you to not use the, we're going to be doing all this in Unity, or not Unity, Unreal.
Yeah, well, I'm doing it in Unreal. You can do it in Unity if you want.
No. I think I'll do it in Unreal as well. That's the one that I plan on working with into the future, so I think I'll stick with it. So anyway, so we'll use Unreal, and I don't necessarily want you guys to templates to do this. I want you to actually learn how to create basic movements for your characters. It's really important, because once you learn how to interact with your character through using whatever engine you're using, in our case it's Unreal, you learn how to use blueprints and the kind of the behind the scenes stuff. It's really important so that you can do other stuff in the future. So I want you to give them the ability to move around in all the ways that your game requires. You know, if it's a side scroller, back, forwards, and jumping, if that's all he does, that's fine. And then I want you to add in a new movement mechanic besides basic movements. And I want you to be able to interact with at least one in-game object, whatever that means for your game.
Sounds good enough to me. Like, for instance, my game, my character should be able to shoot one of the asteroids.
Right. And I'm trying to decide exactly how, I guess, landing? I don't know.
Well, for yours, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't think you also don't have to have like your character fully fledged out. This can be just a box or a sphere.
Right. We're not dealing with graphics here, just functionality.
Yeah. Graphics will probably be another challenge.
That's actually a good idea. Maybe we could do graphics in between the game dev challenges, or do you want to do them as?
I think it should be as a game dev challenge.
Okay.
Like for our next challenge, we can do, the challenge would be to model the character and then move on to something else. I don't know. Okay.
Well, we'll work on that between now and next episode. But yeah, for now, create a character, give them the ability to move around in all of the ways you need to, and add in a new movement mechanic besides the basic ones, and then give them the ability to interact with an object. That should only take you a few hours, as long as you're doing just simple stuff.
In Unreal, it should take you a few hours. In Unity, it should only take you a few hours. If you're building an engine from scratch, well, hopefully you already have the engine built.
Yeah, because just building that engine will take a while.
And I liked building my own engine, but I don't think that that's necessary for game development.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to do a roguelike game where all of the movements is done with up and down and left and right arrows, and the interaction with the object is just running into a wall, that's fine. And the special movement mechanic could be attacking an enemy when an enemy is in the direction you're trying to move.
Or just picking up an item.
Sure. Any of those things. I mean, your game could seriously be as simple as that. And you could program that in any language. And you don't really need to make an engine for that.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to our projects, tasks.
Oh, crap.
So Gears of Fate.
I have not done anything on Gears of Fate.
We're waiting on Heather for that one.
Yes. We're trying to get the music done, and we'll keep working on it.
Do you want to push this until the first of the year?
That sounds fine by me.
Plus, by then you'll be done with school, and so you'll have time to write.
Yay!
That's probably preferable since it's probably going to be me, you, and Henry as the main writers.
Right.
All right. See, for Dev Pirates, we're doing it right now. Last week we worked on the tasks. Let's see. For Nerd and Loathing, we didn't really do anything for Nerd and Loathing. I did a new icon for Nerd and Loathing.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, I'm gonna probably upload that this week, so that's what I have to do this week. Plus, me, you, and Heather need to do record the podcast for that.
Yeah, we'll do that tomorrow, you think?
Yeah, well, should.
Okay.
Unless Heather's gonna be all prima donna about it again.
That's so sexist.
All right, and still not gonna do very much on lists right now because I got a lot of other things I want to do.
Yeah, plus it's functional.
All right, what about no one can hear you? Did you do anything this week?
I did not.
All right, I'll put you down as tentatively for this week. Last week for Endangered Kingdoms, I haven't done the logo yet. I'm still thinking about that, but I did start modeling the main character, Savron, and so that is underway. It's been a while since I've done humanoid modeling, and so it's taken me a little bit longer. So I pretty much almost got the head done.
Nice.
And that took me a few hours.
Is that including the skeleton and everything?
No, skeletons when you're done with the whole body.
Well, don't you have a specific head skeleton?
No.
Like for jaw movement and stuff, maybe? I don't know.
No, you do skeleton when the body's done.
Okay.
You can add in, you can have a pre-made skeleton or whatever, but you do the mesh first. You do the modeling first.
Okay. This shows how much I know or don't know about 3D modeling.
The general order is you do the sketch, you do the concept sketches, and then you do the reference sketches that you're going to do in the background. Or what a lot of people do is they just use like actual images of people, and then they just model off of that. And then you do the texturing. After you're done the modeling, you do texturing, and then you can do the skeletons. You can do the skeleton before or after texturing, doesn't really matter. I like to do the texturing before, just so I can get everything. That way, when I'm doing the skeleton, I can see anything that looks funky. Easier to see when it's all textured. And then you do the animations that you're going to do for each of the game. And then you export that and then import it. So it's pretty much the normal order of things, at least my order of things. And then for the skeleton, I don't have any skeletons yet, but for the skeleton I'm going to build for Savron is probably going to be the skeleton I'm going to use for every humanoid in the game. But I'm also going to be working on that model this week. All right, for Ride, I've gotten all but the last boss programmed for the second zone.
Okay.
So
and how many zones are in the full game?
There's just going to be 4 zones, 3 levels apiece.
Okay.
So that meant like 9 bosses. 2 of those bosses I'm going to also use inside the level. Inside the levels as normal creatures or enemies. And then also that 4 new basic enemies. So a total of 13 new enemies.
Okay, cool.
And then, but yeah, I got the first boss done, the second boss, or the 2-1 boss done, the 2-2 boss done, and I'm working on the 2-3 boss, the frog. And all I have left is it sticking its tongue out. And once that's done, then the bosses will be done. Then I'll start designing the levels. But progress is going pretty good on that.
Nice. And the design of the levels is mostly scripting, right?
Yeah, I just put in what time the enemies will spawn at.
Nice.
And which enemies they are and which power-ups they have. So
Nice.
but yeah, that game's moving along nicely, and Endangered Kingdom's moving along nicely. Everything's turning up roses, or whatever the expression is.
Do they smell like poo, poo, poo?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice.
Well, mine do.
Your roses always smell like poo, poo, poo.
All right. I guess that's it. We are done.
All right. Thanks for listening, guys.
And girls,
And
women, and men,
other people,
and anyone else,
dogs,
cats, mouses,
troglodytes,
trolls.